If you're using any thyroid support, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Justin McGuire. I'm the owner of Autonomic Wellness. I'm a nutritional scientist that is heavily invested in the research of integrative medicine, taking complex topics and subjects and simplifying them for your optimization of health. T3, so what an incredible hormone that has such value, from improving upon cognition and thus equating to an improved emotional valence, often cited with reduction of depression, to the improvement that it has on our body composition. However, what we need to consider here is when is its potential benefits expressed, and when could there be somewhat of a negative effect to its heightened activity. When we look into the synergy between hormonal complexes, particularly when it comes to T3, we need to really consider the variables around insulin activity and androgen availability. In certain instances whereby we have hyperinsulinemia, this can cause downregulation of T3 from binding onto the receptor effectively and mediate an increase of reverse T3 due to how hyperglycemia can induce an increase of interleukin 6, which is a mediator for the increased production of reverse T3. Now, when it is that we are able to have a balanced immune reaction, in other words, modulate our insulin sensitivity in accordance to intake of thyroid hormone, another variable we need to consider is the availability of androgens. You see, testosterone in particular is not only a hormonal molecule to improve upon muscle mass or dopamine output, but it has incredibly innate immune regulatory role, particularly on the innate immune polymorphonuclear leukocytes. There are testosterone receptors that are found on mast cells and other forms of histamine-releasing cells, all of which, when stimulated and when there's a sensitivity to the uptake within these immune complexes, can modulate the release of histamine, which is paramount, as in T3 actually exacerbates the release of histamine. Histamine can be a catalyst to further inflammation, which in a scenario where we have excess inflammation can actually cause an increase in reverse T3, reducing T3's biological opportunity of optimization. Now, T3 can actually act not only as a means for catabolic output of energy, but also as a redox variable to stimulate redox activity and outcome. And how it does so is by transcriptional DNA output of antioxidant measures such as NRF2 and superoxide dismutase, as well as how it also improves upon mitochondrial biogenesis and reducing proton leakage during the electron transport chain. But again, this is all contextual based upon the immune state and whether or not there is optimization in our innate immune's histamine expression, which is highly mediated by the availability and the sensitivity of androgen receptors to receive such signal as to not afford an exacerbated histamine output. Some of the symptoms that are associated to exacerbated histamine, not only those of rhinitis or congestion, but also physical pain. Fibromyalgia, as an example, has a close association to excessive histamine, often overlooked as to means of hormonal insufficiency in the signaling to mediate that particular effect. Other variables can include brain fog and memory recall issues, as well as waking up frequently in the early hours of the morning in order to urinate, as histamine stimulates the hepatic axis. It means an increasing its production of detoxification output, which may seem like it's a good thing, but when there's an excess of stimulation to hepatic processes, this can actually lead to excessive heat, which is well known within Chinese medicine circles. I hope this information has served you today toward improving, or at least considering variables to improve upon your intake and use of thyroid medication toward optimal being. Until we meet again next time, remember to stay optimized.